Translational research is so important to the field of behavior analysis because this is how our field expands. So Rubio et al. In 2010 defined translational research as socially valid research that can be applied in human settings. EBA is a type of research that is done in a lab, typically on animals. In applied behavior analysis, this is where our core principles have come from, and this is the base of the information that we have in this field. ABA takes that information and applies it into human populations and in clinical settings where treatment is potentially happening, things like that. So translational research takes that a step further and helps to expand that research even more. It takes the ABA studies or the EBA studies and applies them to different places, different populations, and it just helps our field grow. It's super important. So one area that would be helpful to have more translational research on is training caregivers to apply extinction. Dirchman and Van Houten have shown that extinction is commonly not completed by caregivers because of the extinction burst. So their study showed that the increase in intensity, duration, and frequency can be too much for caregivers, and they'll end treatment or they will be inconsistent with it. And so this is a problem because then the problem behaviors aren't going away. So this issue needs to be addressed. What's the most effective way to train caregivers? How do we prevent them from ending treatment early? Currently, there is some research that can guide us through this, that can be our springboard for our translational research. So right now, in 2012, Servaline, Williams, Strumley, and Hart did a study using behavior skills training to teach caregivers to implement a food program. So behavior skills training has 5 steps. First, you write out your procedure in detail, step by step. Then you verbally describe your procedure to who you're training. Then you model it, you do it in front of them. Then you have them do it and practice in front of you. And you give them feedback until they do it so well that there's no feedback possibly left to give. So behavior skills training has been a proven method that works great for training people. And this study here shows that it's great to use with caregivers. So this is a fantastic first step. So the next step that we need to look at is the extinction procedure. How do we make this procedure less punishing so that caregivers aren't quitting prematurely or doing it inconsistently? So Lerman, Iwata, and Wallace found that over half of cases that use extinction experience an extinction burst. So that's a lot of cases that are at risk for treatment termination or inconsistency. But Mazowski, Iwata, Vollmer, Zarcone, and Smith in 1993 found that if you combine extinction with differential reinforcement, this can prevent the extinction burst or significantly reduce it. So this is fantastic news to address this problem. Shull and Grimes in 2006 did warn, though, that if the client has a problem behavior that has been reinforced for a long time, so long histories of reinforcement, or has reinforcement histories that have high magnitude, highly valuable reinforcers, this could be hard to compete with, and it might be a little bit resistant to extinction. So this is super important to know going in so we can prepare caregivers for what they can expect for how long the procedure is likely to take. So Mace et al. Has additional warnings for us. He learned in his study that when you combine differential reinforcement with extinction, it actually makes the extinction procedure last longer. So this is good to know, but it doesn't mean we don't want to combine these two, because we need a replacement behavior. We need to find something that is functionally equivalent to the problem behavior and replace it with a desirable behavior so that a new problem behavior doesn't replace it, or the same problem behavior just returns shortly after the procedure. So resurgence is a problem that causes inconsistency as well. When that problem behavior returns, it can cause caregivers to not follow through because they thought the behavior was gone and now it came back, and so they just weren't prepared to apply the procedure again. So Schwann and Sweeney in 2011 helped to find a solution to this. In their study, they found that behavioral momentum can explain this pattern. So basically, during extinction of a problem behavior, a replacement behavior is reinforced. When that behavior is put on extinction, the problem behavior just returns. So the first DRA suppresses the problem behavior, but when that disruption ends, the momentum returns, and so that problem behavior continues. To prevent this from happening, all you need to do is maintain the reinforcement of the alternative behavior. Make sure that it's not suffering from ratio strain or just too thin of a schedule of reinforcement. So looking at your alternative behavior or your replacement behavior, this is very important. You need something that's functionally equivalent. So this new desirable behavior replaces the old problem behavior. Schulk and Albin in 1996 recommended that you use functional communication training as the replacement behavior. They were able to prove in their study that this is an excellent choice for replacement behavior, because functional communication training uses communication as the replacement behavior. This is excellent because communication can serve multiple functions. So this makes a fantastic replacement behavior. Plus, it's reinforcing to caregivers. Caregivers typically will appreciate a child talking to them and using their words instead of hitting or kicking or biting or whatever their problem behavior is. So these studies provide us with an excellent framework and guidance for how we can design a translational research study. So first step is evaluate the treatment history. Look at those schedules of reinforcement to determine how resistant this problem behavior will be to extinction. Then use behavior skills training to train the caregivers to implement these procedures. Then, once the treatment is completed, make sure you continue with reinforcing the alternative behavior so that resurgence doesn't happen and the problem behavior doesn't reoccur. So if we were going to do this study, we could use a multiple baseline across subject design. An ABA in-home treatment center would be an excellent setting to do it because you are working in the children's homes, and so the caregivers and the children would frequently be together. So that'd be an easy setting to do this research in. Researchers would be able to set up their design and apply this appropriately. So this would be a highly valid, socially valid research study because we're helping the caregivers and we're helping the children they care for. So the lives of both people would be improved. And so this would decrease stress levels, and this would increase communication, and generally just helping people live together more functionally. So this translational research would have a lot of value. To review, translational research is so important for our field. It's so important that we continually look for ways to do translational research or use translational research so that we can continue to expand the field of behavior analysis. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great day.